Did Russ miss a few big time shots in the overtime against Boston? He for sure did. But you can't exclude how well he performed in the game in its entirety and how well he played for his role. And as a matter of fact, I don't even put the blame on those misses on Russ. And so I'm gonna show you with these clips though. Today we got the hidden highlights of Russ against the Celtics, and let's get straight to these clips. And if you like these videos, make sure you subscribe, like, turn on those notifications. We posting every day. Let's get straight to it.
His ability to break down the defense and find those shooters. Russ a three.
First off, Russ entered his game, first 2 touches, 2 threes. Russ, you need to get your rhythm going first. You need to get your rhythm going first. You need to get your dimes. You need to get your layups, transition, fast break, push the ball. You need to get your rhythm before you take these threes. Because now, once you start getting these dimes, getting these layups, you start to feel good. And so now that not only do you feel good, your jump shot also feels good as well. And so once your jumper feels good, that's how you're going to get back up to that 36, 37% that you had earlier in the season. So once I would like to see Russ be able to get his rhythm before he starts pulling these threes.
Westbrook misses. Lakers have shot at least 50%.
Another one. Get your rhythm first. Get your rhythm going first. Hey, another thing I noticed, I don't know if you notice it as well, but when Russ drives to the rim, he always has this very strong touch. It never gets high off the glass like you see a Kyrie do or Darius Garland or Steph. You never see those nice, high, soft touches that you do around the rim. And so with Russ's hard touch and with all his force, all his momentum, if you could slow that down, have a little better touch, a softer touch, he could get a few more layups going down, increase his field goal percentage, help him get his rhythm going too. But that starts with having that soft touch around the rim at all points of the backboard.
It's simply amazing.
And this other thing I want to show you. Look where his hand finishes on that jump shot, straight out like this. Now, if you know basketball, you know the fundamentals. Hand in the cookie jar. Hand in the cookie jar. That's one of the key fundamentals when you first learn to shoot, when you first go to practice, whatever it is. Hand in the cookie jar, and it's always true. It's for sure. It is factual. Hand in the cookie jar. You got to flick down whatever follow through finger you have. Make sure you finish down like this. You see Russ finish with that open hand like this, oftentimes, and that could be a clear reason why he misses so many jump shots, because that hand never comes down. You don't put that hand in the cookie jar. You don't put that hand in the cookie jar. If you do that, we could possibly see Russ dropping some more threes, getting back to that 36, 37%. These are just a few clips I want to show y'all though before we get to the nitty gritty stuff later on and how this game ended up happening, how it ended up ending the way it did.
Westbrook on top off the bench again tonight. Nice fake by Dick.
Another good thing about Russ, anytime he passes, he always lets him go. You always see him let him go. Like, he doesn't hesitate when he passes. But that's also a gift and a curse. Because it could be a gift, because if you see an opening, boom, you can get it through on time. But it could also be a curse because you're not able to read everything that's going on, and you may misfire a lot of them. Or you may try to sneak one in that you shouldn't have tried to sneak in. So it's a gift and a curse. But most times, Russ is able to get those dimes. But there's some nights where he's a lot of turnovers and whatnot. But to look at his assist turnover ratio throughout the years, ever since he's been in the league, his triple-double years, fairly good, especially for the amount of time that he has a ball in his hands.
This start for Davis, who's coming off, as we said before, a 34-point game Sunday in Detroit. Tatum over.
You don't need to play this in the drop. You don't need to play this in the drop. You can switch with Pat Bev. As a matter of fact, Russ played some good defense on Tatum later on in the game. Stay tuned for those clips. I'm gonna show you that Russ is actually a really good defender, especially on wing players. Not so much on point guards, but on wings, he's really good. And so on this one, if you see Tatum coming off of this, just tell Pat Bev, drops, let's switch this, I'll take Tatum. You can't guard him from one possession? Definitely can. I believe Russ is an underrated perimeter defender on wing players. And so he doesn't need to drop back and let Tatum get this look right here.
21. Tatum, the fake, and the feed.
Now I'm about to start showing you why Russ is actually a good defender. Russ is actually an underrated defensive player. Now that he's with the Lakers, he doesn't have to worry so much about the offensive side. He could put a little more energy defensively. And now it's starting to show. Making these hustle plays like that. Getting back into these plays. You get beat, he still gets back. All that stuff. Guarding the top wing players, top perimeter players. Turnover. But this is what separates players from losing and winning. Plays like this. Plays like this. When you hustle back to get back into the play. When you made a mistake yourself. Yep. That shows you somebody wants to win. Like I told you earlier, he doesn't hesitate. He always throw them. He always throw them passes. Hey, this is another reason why he's a great defender. Or underrated defender, good defender, underrated. Chase over the top. Recovery back in front of Tatum. Come on now. That's the way you need to guard Tatum. If you watch when teams defend Tatum and teams are struggling, they got a guy who's going to get up into him, be physical with him, who may be a little stronger than him, and try to and make him feel uncomfortable and not let him get into his bag and get into his dribble moves. And that's what Russ does on Tatum on this possession. Gets up into him, doesn't allow him any space to be able to get into his bag. Forces him to reads, good help. Good rotation by Troy Brown, good hand by Troy Brown as well. Got the stop. Same thing with Brown. Brown makes a tough shot though. Chase over the top, is able to get it back in front. Gives a good hand, but Jaylen Brown was hitting a lot of tough shots this night. And he is definitely a tough shot maker. Oh, now the trick to the steal. The trick to the steal. Look where the ref is. His eyes is only looking at what's going on over here. He can't see nothing on this side, on Tatum's right side. And so what Westbrook does, he hits Tatum's elbow. He taps Tatum's elbow because the ball's in his elbow. He just taps his elbow. His hand, he loses control of the ball because he just hits his elbow. And now the ball goes out of bounds. Seems like Tatum just threw a bad pass, but really Russ hit his elbow, and the ref right here can't even see it. He can't see it. And so now you're going to see Tatum turn. Tatum turns saying he hit his arm. But he can't be mad at that because the ref literally cannot see it.
This is the team that didn't turn it over, and here's Westbrook for the Lakers. A three.
Love the confidence right there. Love the confidence. Big time shot. He ain't scared to take him. But people aren't going to talk about these. They're going to talk about the misses, of course. That's just how things go. But notice here, he gets his hand in the cookie jar too.
For the Lakers.
At least kind of gets that down a little bit. A little bit. It's not as bad as this. Kind of got down here. Flick that wrist all the way through. Russ going to be hitting a lot more threes. And now to start the overtime, Russ was on go. He was getting to the rim. But people aren't going to talk about this, of course, because they lost. They're just going to remember the misses and the bad. But Russ started off this overtime and was ready to go while Brown and AD weren't. They just kept giving the ball up every time. Every time. Brown throw it back to AD. I'm going to show you that later. Stay tuned for that. AD late, too tired, missed 2 big-time free throws. Like, Russ, they just threw the ball to Russ because Russ was the only person who had something left in the tank. Brown was gassed out. AD was gassed out. They couldn't even play offense, couldn't play defense, couldn't do anything.
But that was a big play.
Great bump. Great bump because it was just straight shoulder. No arm extension, no nothing. It was a great bump. Cornette, he's bigger. Don't care. Bump you, lay. Bump you, lay. Hand in on the cookie jar. But also, I would even throw this back. I ain't gonna lie. LeBron just kept coughing the ball back up to Russ every time. If I'm Brown, fuck it. I'm just taking this to Cornette. Cornette gonna foul me. Cornette gonna foul me. And notice how Brown and AD ain't take no shots unless they're forced to take a shot in this overtime. You ain't see Brown take nobody off the dribble. You ain't see him go ISO. It was just all so stagnant. They ain't have nothing left in the tank. Nothing. Russ is the only player with something left, something to go. There's another one that Brown had that was just swing. The ball always ended up in Russ's hands while nobody else wanted to shoot.
For the Celtics tonight, Brown just nailed one. He'll chisel his way out.
Russ could actually play defense in overtime. He was actually playing defense in overtime. And so, the reason I don't put the blame on Russ is because he's your third star. He's your third player. He's not your main, he's not your number 1, he's not your number 2, he's your number 3. In fact, he comes off the bench too. He's your 6th man. And so, when it comes to crunch time, you always go to your top 2 players. But what's going to happen when your top 2 players aren't going to do what they need to do and aren't even being threats? They're just going to give it up to the number 3 player. So, if your finishers, your closers aren't ready to close the game out and ain't prepared themselves to close the game out, how are you going to put the blame on Russ, who's your third guy, who's not really supposed to be your closer? Sometimes he don't even close the games. Sometimes Russ don't even close the games. and you're gonna put the blame on Russ, who's not even your main closer. Your two main closers weren't ready to close the game out. So I'm putting the blame on AD 1 for missing those 2 free throws, Bron 2 for his defensive lapses. If you ain't peeping my last video, go peep that. And then after that, then you can say Russ. But before you say anything about Russ, you got to bring up AD and Bron. So that's the end of this video. Make sure you subscribe, like, hit those notifications if you like the video, and we out of here.